You have museums with the functioning of modern city, but all damage. You can see the Beijing right now is a modern city. My God, you know. So I think this damage, to some extent, could be more than Cultural Revolution. But Cultural Revolution will take 3 generations to repair. The damage to Xi'an, Beijing, beyond repair. I'm sorry, that's fact. So we focus too much on economics. I'll come back to some of the problems we have. Our perspective developed too narrow. GDP, economic growth. Sometimes we done a lot of damage without realizing. And some of the damage beyond repair cannot be reversed. You know, such a great heritage is gone. You know. And we're fairly open-minded and about religions. You know, yes, you see the popularity of Christianity in the coastal area of China these days. You know, and we're open-minded. We can go together with any religion. So we don't have a dominant religion. That's it. No others. You know, so this is a good benefit for us. And of course, we have lots of problems. You know, the dinner table yesterday, we talked about income disparity across regions, you know, getting more serious, disparity in regional development. And China is very trade dependent. You know, more than 80% of GDP relating to trade is about 30% for the US, 20% for India. So China is the only country with a major industry power pursuing the policy of open the door and reform at the same time. So if you look at Japan, you know, arguably China's market is more open than the Japanese market, you know, as of today. And you go to the supermarket, you see that, you know. And we're very resource dependent. Much of the growth coming from China with the increase in inputs, a variety of kind of factors. Our financial sector in terrible state. Mike Milken in our school making a speech, talking about high saving rate in China, as the low saving rate in the US. But he said, no need to worry. Your financial sector in terrible state, if you save $100, 10 years later, only maybe $80 left. We save $10, you know, 10 years later, we have $100, you know. So, you know, I mean, the financial sector really in terrible state, you know. So I think it's something we need to fix really fast. If we cannot fix ourselves, we may invite HSBC and Citigroup to fix for us, you know. It's everything's so global. You don't need to fix all the problems yourself, you know. SOE, I don't have to talk about it because you know them well. I think if you in China long enough. And the rule of law still needs time to take place in China. I think this is one shortcoming compared with India. I think this is going to be crucial for China. Our government is paying a lot of attention to this issue, but everything takes time, you know. And you need all people, the system, the mechanism, the experience, all the cases, you know. So, and we're short of manager talent, the sophistication. In this regard, we're falling behind India. And I think India top-end talents, they have far better endowment than what China has at this point in time. You know. The environmental concerns, the flood of the problem, you know, we sacrifice a lot of environment for the sake of GDP growth, you know. In fact, I was in Moscow, and this big chunk of land in front of Moscow State University, that's probably the best piece of land in Moscow, because you can overlook this Kremlin and the city of Moscow. But they preserve that as a forest, a park, you know. I mean, in Beijing, very likely to be converted into a property development. I mean, it's possible. So I think I was chatting with my friends. I said, look, I think we getting to be more impatient. Sometimes we're too impatient. We try to do a lot of things at one time. You know, sacrificing the future of this, sometimes for this country even, or for the future of our offspring. You know, we learn. We need to learn even from Russia. I think, you know, their perspective development, I think is acting as a good reference point for us. You know. The challenges: China contributed 5% of GDP globally, and we have been concentrating on low value-added activities, and we have a very open economy, which is quite different from India. And as of today, the mainstream sector, the companies, not doing well. I mean, even for Huawei technology, you know, there's something really proud as a sort of a flagship for Chinese indigenous companies. If you look at the sales of Huawei technology, you know, largest overseas sales in Algeria, you know, and the second largest in Russia, and it did make some sort of entry into European market. You know, the U.S. market, they dispute with Cisco So it's really not a real player in any significant way. So that's the problem with the Chinese model development. China is often coined as the manufacturing center of the earth, which is not right. To be more precise, we're really assembly center, low value added activity, commodity type of goods, and top multinationals would like to get out of the business and then give to China. And after about 30 years development, very few Chinese firms have the core technology and R&D capabilities to sustain all of that. Very few Chinese companies have global brands, a distribution channel. So the game the Chinese companies have been playing are really simple. Commodity type of goods, mass production, scale, price war in China. If no good, we export, anti-dumping. Virtually all the sectors have gone through this simple exercise or cycle. And it's a serious problem. It's a really serious problem. In the past, the whole cycle took 10 years. Today, it takes 3 years. By the time you make money this year, next year you lose money. And maybe the third year you're getting out. You're losing money so badly. So the cycle has been shortened, really shortened. It's really a serious problem, for every sector. So you can see that clearly the limitation of past strategies, and we're learning from the West. We place ourselves in very inferior position. This is the West, this is China. How do we apply Western management techniques, technology to China, which I don't like. We're learning from the West, we're learning from ourselves, but I won't go with strategy more like a Picasso. If you're in the box of Da Vinci, Michelangelo, it's very unlikely you're going to overtake this too. It's genius already. Done all the best you could. If you do not have new space of thinking, it's virtually impossible in any serious play. In the mainstream products sectors. So exchange marketable technology was a strategy used by the Chinese company for many years, not doing well. And the fundamental weakness of Chinese company strategy is leveraging resources in China to compete globally, the national soccer team concept. Actually, in this regard, we can argue that 30 years of opening up reform in China is really a repetition of similar movement in Qing dynasty since 1840. All the strategy, all the thinking, very similar. Learning from the West, dispatching students to overseas, hope they come back to China, so we can have better companies, we can have good companies. But this thinking might work maybe 100 years ago. No longer working for today's situation because IBM, GE, Samsung, LG become Madrid already, Real Madrid. No longer Korean soccer team, Swedish soccer team, whatever. Okay, despite some of them really good. Okay, so this is the fundamental weakness. Including our plan to build civil aircraft ourselves. So we need to change the way we think before we have any possibilities of have a breakthrough in mainstream sectors. And we too much on cost. $10, $8, $2. We do not have any dream like selling an egg from $10 to $100 like the Japanese did. We do not have a dream like Starbucks. Go beyond just selling coffee. So our thinking very linear, commodity thinking. And I was joking with some entrepreneurs. I said, look, because one guy said, I want to sell the car. I want to make a car from 120 yen per ton of steel, whatever, to 40 yen. I say, if you realize your dream, you're essentially converting the middle class people in the developed economy into proletariat. That's what you do. Even if you realize your dream, you can make that sector from mainstream to become non-mainstream. You don't make money yourself. Look at brands. Checking with brands, the CEO.